Should I record in 192 kilohertz? Does it sound better than 48 kilohertz?
No.
Okay. Hi everybody, welcome to another episode of Tidalwave Afterwork. My name is Patrick Damiani. This is my good friend and colleague Marc Maurer.
Hello.
Marc. Hello, Patrick. Marc, Patrick. We are answering questions that are related to music production. And we start right away with the question from Stefan Schneider.
What's up, Stefan?
Stefan is asking, what makes a pro mix sound pro?
Wow. I would say, aside from the fact that it has like the impact that it can sit besides other songs in a playlist, like that's an obvious thing. I would say three things. That it has to like work in a playlist, let's put it that way. Second, the mix should put your attention and focus on the music and the emotion, which is basically also point three, which is there should be nothing in the production or mix that pulls you out of the listening experience.
Yes, like in a good movie, you should only be in the story and not thinking about
the making of it. Yes. It's like when you're listening, like sometimes there are mixes that sound almost pro, or that's like the tough thing. I think that's the thing we are all like chasing sometimes, is you listen through a song and it's amazing and it feels great, and then there's maybe like a actually cool effect maybe leading into the last chorus, but the effect is a little over the top, which is like and then it throws you out, and then you're missing the last chorus, which would be like the most important energetic part of the song. So those other things are like it's like if you see like a card trick, but then at some point you see something like, you know, like, I don't know, some cable that comes out of here. Like just for a split second, but it's enough that you're like, damn, it's... Yeah.
That's a good one. I always thought that when I was listening to not so great mixes, like from like my own mixes 20 years ago, reverb was crap.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't know how to work reverb or those obvious bad delays and stuff, it's like, okay, we need delays. And there's like, delays, like really cheap effects can also ruin. But it hits in the same spot, then it just ruins the image of everything, basically, if reverb sucks. And since music is happening in rooms and you want to create a perfect illusion, if the perfect illusion is crap, it's not perfect, and then it's ruined.
Yeah. Can I tell a funny story?
Yes, please.
When I was, I don't know, 12, maybe 13, I don't know. When I did like my first recordings, I recorded with like a headset microphone, because it was
you like had a headset. That was
like a
nice.
Like a gaming or something. So I put that on the table and I recorded guitar to it, but because it was the headset, I couldn't use the headphones. So I
had to crank.
So I had to like listen over the speakers. So when I recorded, I played to a click track. So I recorded the click track, and every time I did an overdub, I recorded the click track again.
Click.
And then also I had like like you said in the beginning, so much reverb and delay on everything, because when you're 12 or 14, it just sounds cool. But I remember that it wasn't like synced. It was more or less like tempo-ish. So the whole track was like...
I want to listen to that. Do you still have it?
Nah, I don't think so. Maybe on
if you have it, put it in this episode. We want to hear it.
If I ever find it, I will reveal it on the podcast here.
Look for it, please.
But it was
cut it into this.
Yeah.
We want to hear it.
Yeah, let's see. All right, another question from Sören Lehmann.
Hi, Sören.
Sören wants to know, to me, a lot of modern rock and metal productions have become a bit lifeless and boring. I still love the energy of live performances. As a mixer, how do you capture that raw live intensity in a studio mix without compromising on polish and clarity? Thanks.
I think that too mechanic, and machine gun drums, for example, are one big thing. Don't overuse samples. If we start with drums, often it's like the drums are just, every hit is exactly the same. So if you have to use samples or triggers or stuff, then automate stuff, give it some life. Don't quantize it completely perfect. Leave some intentional life.
Yeah.
Or just record a real drum set. And because it's like the samples are so perfect that it just feels too mechanic. Every hit is exactly the same. If at least you use real cymbals, they add a lot of life.
Yeah.
And even if your snare is kind of, use it in conjunction with samples, and you get life. Use room tracks, use something that just is live and has life.
Yeah.
With guitars and everything, I think using plugins is fine, but don't over edit it. Leave some room for imperfection, and you will get life, because life just is not perfect. You can try to be close to perfect, but not perfect. Perfect is boring and just feels fake. I think that's it.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank
you.
Yeah. Thanks for the question.
Thanks question. Oh, Ashley667.
Hi.
Ashley is a girl's name, but I think it's also a boy's name. So it's either the neighborette or the neighbor of the beast.
Yeah.
Something like this. Okay. Hey. Ashley667 is asking, should I record in 192 kilohertz? Does it sound better than 48 kilohertz?
No.
Okay.
I mean, when there's like no context, no. Why?
To use more resource on your computer, maybe?
Yes.
To use more.
I mean, I stick with no.
Yeah.
If there's no more context, then should I? Then I would say no.
I think
Why?
99% of all records that we all love have been recorded in 44 or 48.
Yes.
And it's cool. Don't worry. Just make music and go for it. Nobody cares.
It's not rocket science. Yeah. Nobody cares. That's
nobody
the point.
cares.
Yeah.
So yes,
go with
no.
48 and 44. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks. Hey, if you like our podcast and this channel, consider subscribing if you haven't yet. And also, leave a comment and ask a question so we can cover one of your questions in a future video. And last but not least, go tell a friend about it. Thanks. There's a question from a person that calls him or herself moonshine _, but the O is a 0.
Mo-shine.
Yeah.
Hi, Mo-shine.
Hey, with so many plugins available, how do you avoid option paralysis when mixing or producing? Do you stick to a few favorite tools, or do you experiment with new plugins all the time?
Experimenting, yes. I have a subscription to Plugin Alliance, which I love, and every time something new comes out, if it's not the 10th version of an 1176, then I try it out, because I find myself, and I think I'm not just speaking for myself, but for the majority of mix engineers or recording engineers, they somehow stick to the butter and bread plugins. The ones I always use, FabFilter Pro Q3. That's 99% of my EQing is done with that.
Yeah.
Any compressor, whatever, something will work. And Saturn for saturation. So it's basically I'm finding using myself like the 10 same plugins all the time. The only exception I make is with creative plugins, like if there is a new lo-fi plugin or something, like a new emulation of vinyl scratch stuff.
More like effectsy stuff.
And not surgical tools. They pretty much stay the same all the time, but like the creative stuff that inspires you to, it's like, I have this middle 8 part here and I want something. Then I try out some random modulation or something plugin that I have never used before, and just click through presets and see if there's something inspiring, and then I go from there.
Yeah.
So yes and no.
But it's a good differentiation. I would say. Like surgical stuff can more or less stay the same, and creative effects stuff is stuff that I also
how many EQs do you really need?
Yeah, exactly. If you have like a compressor and EQ where you can make your vocals or kick drum or snare drum work
except
all the time.
1176, you need at least all revisions and all variations of all revisions.
Yes.
Everyone.
Yeah, and everyone is specifically, for this vocal today, I'm going to use the
Revision D, but only the UAD version.
Yes.
So go and buy UAD, Revision D plugins, all of them.
Yes. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yeah. Mauro Bonamo
Hello.
is asking, when I record drums, my snare sounds crap, St. Anger style. What can I do? Help.
I mean, do we assume that he actually has a sound that goes like dong?
Yeah, no snare wire whatsoever, a lot of resonance and no high end or something.
Make sure there are some snare wires on there.
That's a good point. And that they are...
Hey, I mean, you have to look underneath the snare, so...
sometimes the mechanism doesn't work and you...
Yeah, I mean, snare wires, make sure that the heads are intact or more or less new and tuned well. I would say crank the bottom head.
Crank the bottom head. Criminally
regardless,
underrated.
More or less, of what the actual tuning of the drum will be.
Can I recommend a video?
Yes.
It must be over there, where I show like 10 different sounds out of one snare within seconds. And the main thing that all those snare sounds and every good snare tuning has in common is crank the bottom head until you don't dare to crank it anymore. Because you just get this good response from the snare wires, and you almost cannot mess up anything anymore on the top if it's cranked.
Yeah.
So tuning is key.
Tuning is key. I mean, other than that, like going back to a time when I thought my snare always sucked, it's just like ambience room, reverb, samples, and that kind of stuff. Like we talked about this before. Like having a snare that has like punch and sounds solid, like as a close mic, but then augmenting that with either the right reverb and room choices or room sample choices can even bring a snare that's not so great sounding to life.
Maybe one quick tip, if you need just naturally more brightness more presence out of the snare, maybe don't angle the snare like perpendicular to the head, but go at a much more shallow angle. If you experiment with this, you get so much more brightness out of the raw recording already. And if you have a separate mic for the bottom head, you can get some of what is missing in the St. Anger snare. So wires, you can add a little bit of that. And then don't underestimate, as Marc said, the importance of distant microphones, because all that energy and high end and life of the snare is not only coming from the direct mic, but it's coming so much from all the other microphones. So don't underestimate this, or don't mix all that stuff too low.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. But we have to agree that the St. Anger snare has made itself a name. Everyone knows it.
Sure, and
you cannot beat that.
I'm gonna admit it right here, right now. Like, for that attitude in some parts, it just belongs there, and it's freaking energetic.
It's Metallica. I guess they did it on purpose. Yeah. They could have hired someone who gets another snare sound if they wanted to. So they did everything right.
Yeah.
So hope that helps.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks. All right. Last question for today is from Peter Zelbert.
Hi, Peter.
Hey. He wants to know, hey guys.
Hey guy.
Hey, what's your process for mixing vocals to sit well in both soft and loud sections of a track?
First of all, as always, the performance has to be matching the different parts.
Yeah.
There's no need in shouting in a quiet part, because you will always have trouble making it sit. Okay, let's assume the performance is correct. What I usually do is I like to have like all the lead vocals on one track to start with, and then I find myself doing other treatment on more quiet verses, let's say, than in choruses, and maybe like a middle eight part or something where you do something completely different. Most of the time in louder parts, I tend to use more processing squash a little bit more, give it more energy with compression, saturation, and stuff, so that it will sit energetically right in a more energetic context. And if you have a really soft part, I tend to use sometimes maybe no compression at all.
Yeah.
Just leave it more natural, let it breathe. You have to adapt to, it's like if you go into a library, you're not shouting like this! You maybe try to adapt yourself, and if you don't overthink it too technically, but it's like, try to put it just right in the context, and if it's everything is soft, then maybe leave the vocals softer. Don't overcompress it, because it will get like an urgency that you don't want. And on the other hand, if it is a energetic part and you need some then you have to give it that.
I would maybe add to this, you kind of touched upon this, I think a good starting point, because he's asking about like the processes of mixing that one vocal track, as you said, in kind of a middle of the road way that works more or less. And then I do the same thing. I basically duplicate the track, and then on one I might go pull the threshold down on a compressor or bump up the ratio. And then on the other track, you might lower the ratio or dismiss the compressor. So you have like a middle of the road setting, basically, that you then put in either more stuff to it or pull stuff out. I think that's a good like process.
Yeah, exactly. I do more or less the same thing. Yeah.
All right.
Hope that helps.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Was a nice episode.
Yes.
Was my pleasure. See you next week.
See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye.